Today we are flying the A6M2. It's the US premium version, but because of the new matchmaker where the US and the Japanese fight together most of the time, this one actually makes a lot of sense now. So if they ever revert the matchmaker, you can disregard a lot of things that I will be saying. But as of right now, this is actually quite close to the truth. Because the A7M2 right now fights the Germans most of the time, which will be the main enemy today. In a very quick roundup, is this thing worth it? I don't think so. You will either win the dogfight because they are dumb, or they will run forever because they're too scared from you. So I don't think the dynamic of playing this thing is very fun, but if you like that kind of thing, be my guest. Extremely maneuverable, not very fast in a straight line. The guns are absolute dog shit, and I mean it. 60 rounds per gun, and the guns don't do an awful lot of damage. You have the MGs in the nose, which are also among the worst 7.7s in my personal opinion in the game. So all in all, you're not gonna have a very good time. And if you have bad guns with a slow plane that people don't want to dogfight, you're going to have struggles trying to get kills. Unless of course you can dodge people's boom and zoom for so long they get frustrated and then lure them into a dogfight. But it is pretty hard to do because most people will never try to dogfight this thing. And when they do, they will mostly get one turn because, well, you're in an A6M2. And the situation we're in right now is something you will quite frankly see a lot of. Of course, I put myself in this position, which is part of the problem. But I want to be as low as possible versus these guys without dropping too much speed. They are dropping a lot of altitude right now, and the lower we go, the more comfortable I will be fighting these guys. Because I need my maneuverability to deal with these guys. And unless we're in a stall fight at altitude, I'm not actually at an advantage up there. I don't climb nearly as well as them, I'm not nearly as fast as them. And when I'm at high altitude, I turn a little bit worse. And when I start turning worse, you know what happens, I become an easier shot. He hits me with an MG, luckily it doesn't do any damage whatsoever. They're trying to 2v1 me, which is a smart thing on their end, because an A6M2 one-on-one, even though it is so slow, is extremely annoying to hit. He didn't expect me to pull up after him, I shot him down, and now it's 1v1. But it's still a 109 and it's 109F, which is pretty damn dangerous. Go up, camera spazzing out a little bit. It's an F2. He doesn't have the best gun, 15mm, doesn't do the most amount of damage. So in that sense, I should be alright taking a hit. I still don't want to do it because I'm still a very fragile plane. And this thing, once it gets damaged, it's still flyable. It's not bad at all, but the more damage you take, the slower you will become. And the bigger your disadvantage will become. Which makes it even harder to get anything meaningful done. And if they don't stick, you need every ounce of energy you want to try to get on that 6. And when you're slower than someone by a substantial margin, your guns are slow as well and they don't do much damage. It makes it very, very easy for the enemy team to just run away. And even if they're not paying attention and if they're just flying straight, there's a big chance you're not going to kill them. Because your guns just don't do enough damage and you don't stay in their gun range for very long. Or they don't stay in your gun range for very long. And here comes 109 number 2. Well, technically number 3, but number 1 is already dead. So it's again a 2v1. This guy is bringing me to his teammate, which is again the smart thing to do. Got Hazy in the background and he will be coming in. I'm going to be going defensive. I want to keep these 109s as busy as long as I can. So that Hazy can establish an altitude advantage, maybe speed advantage. Come in and help them go slow. Because if they keep their energy like this, there's no way in hell I will ever kill them. So do keep that in mind. I have a teammate here. When you're on your own, you shouldn't be very aggressive versus a 0. But when there's 2 of you, you should. You won't be draining this thing of energy if you do these very long and drawn out passes. Because by the time you come back, I've already regained all of my energy I lost by the initial merge. And then I can just do it again. The best way is of course to pincer it from both sides. So I have to keep turning full 180s, which bleed the most amount of speed. And I see an A6M coming in. And that's something I don't want to fight in the long run. So I asked Hazy to keep these guys busy as I will go down to the 0. Because I can deal with 2 109s. Of course, I won't be killing them. But I can be on the defensive and I can keep dodging them. If that A6M joins the fight, yeah, it turned into a duel. I have very little advantages. Maybe pilot skill, but you don't know that. I don't know who I'm fighting. So I want to take him out before he starts climbing and gets an altitude advantage over me. When the enemy plane in the exact same vehicle gets an altitude advantage over you and there's also another teammate of his in the area, it becomes a very hard fight. So I want to kill this guy before he gets fed up by ground pounding and thinks, oh, that's an easy kill because he's low and slow. I want to take him out. These 2 109s are very slow in attacking me. So I should be able to pick this guy off real quick. And then reset the engagement with them again. They broke off for a little bit to go for Hazy, which is perfect for me. This guy is basically stalling out because he was way too slow and I can just go up And in the same vehicle, if you have more energy, it becomes a very easy win. Especially because most zero pilots don't actually use their flaps, because they're not used to being outturned. And if you're fighting something that's not a zero, if that's something you already outturned, using your flaps is mostly detrimental. Unless of course you're stalling and trying to get a stall shot. But right now I'm fighting the same plane as me, and then I will use my flaps. Hazy luckily brought them away from me, so I was actually able to do that. Because if they were right above me, that fight would have been a lot more annoying. And that's kill number 2. I'm running 600 meters convergence here, but it's only because I want to try and kill people at longer ranges. I kind of suggest you run 400, maybe even 300 on this thing, because in general you want to be really close for the shot. But I don't like people running away from me, so I try to go for the corner code snipe at like 500-600 meters with these guns. And you kind of have to try to figure out what's best for you. I will use my MGs most of the time separately. And that's the 109 F4. Much more dangerous than that F2. So I want to keep this guy in mind more than the F2. The F2 is flying away from me. Hit a water leak. Something he's not going to enjoy in a 109, especially the F4. But he still has a lot more performance over me. I might stall later than him, but he has so much more energy over me that I don't want to stall in his guns. I'm going to go below him again, so that he dives on me. And in this way, my teammate, Hazy in this case, can dive on him again and maybe try to pick him off. At this point the 109 is forced into a dogfight, so I told Hazy to chase the guy that's flying away right now, because if you see him in the background, he is not very fast right now, and him being in a J21 will be able to catch him. This guy is basically dead at this point. Perfect broadside, and yes, my aim was pretty bad there, but it's also these guns just doing absolutely nothing. Trying to spray my MGs, but I only have 12 cannon rounds left. I don't want to overheat, however. So you do want to be careful of that. He is now stalling out basically in a full broadside. Then I squeeze a trick with the cannons and I blow him out of the air. And that's basically the game. We don't manage to catch the guy before he reaches his airfield, and he's going to camp that airfield until he runs out of tickets, and then we win that way. Bit unfortunate, would have been nice to fight someone else one time in the number advantage, but of course right here I had a teammate who kind of helped me out, force people slow. If you don't get people that are forced slow by your team, this thing might be very dreadful to fly. Of course, if you have an altitude advantage and you can dive on someone and you're catching them, they can do absolutely nothing because you're in an A6M. But other than that, this thing, in my opinion, is more tedious than fun to fly. Make up your own mind, decide for yourself. I will try to get another video out tomorrow. I heard there's a new update coming out for War Thunder, and it looks extremely good, new graphics and stuff, so I want to get rid of all my old footage, because I don't want to reuse old graphics and stuff when there are new graphics already out. So I want to try to crank out a few videos these upcoming 2 weeks, so look forward to that one, if I can. So don't expect every day, but I'm gonna be trying to get the numbers up a little bit. And after I'm out of footage, I might actually delete everything I have and just start with a clean slate. But time will tell, maybe it won't look that different in game, and then it shouldn't be a problem. And to be honest, my PC probably won't even be able to run the new settings very high, but only time will tell. Should be out around mid-November, I heard. Of course, it might just be a rumor, but we'll see. Have a nice weekend, everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow. And just for you, Moonbear on math. I almost forgot again, mind you. I was already rendering, I just quit it. That's my cat. She's called Sa, she's 16 years old, and she still jumps around like she's 3. And as you can see, she clearly knows her place.